So inshallah my topic is the Afghan Kamilis, right? So they came to Australia with the initial purpose of providing transport across the deserts of Australia, right? Because the horses and stuff, they couldn't go through deserts. It was too long for them. The camels, they had stamina, so they could travel through deserts, right? So they first came, there were around 2,000 to 4,000 Kamilis. And these Kamilis weren't only Afghans. They were a mix of ethnic groups like Egyptians, we have here Iranians, Turkish and Pakistanis, right? So they brought with them 20,000 camels in total, right, between 1860 and 1920. So these camels were used to transport food and water, and as I said, across the deserts where horses couldn't travel through. So they also provided important support to exploration, communication, settlement, and in the outback. And they also built the first mosque in Australia, which is called the Marine Mosque, and it was built in 1861, 1 year after they came. They also built the first mosque in Perth, right, which is Perth Mosque, and they built that at around 1905. They also built roads and railway lines to connect people around Australia, right? We have all these contributions, and yet they're a thing. They weren't allowed to bring other Afghans inside, so they couldn't intermarry. They weren't allowed to marry other Afghans. So what they had to do, they had to marry Aboriginals. Also, they couldn't even come in town after dark. They weren't allowed, they weren't welcome. And they couldn't share facilities like pools, baths or pubs. Now, I want everyone to think, is this fair? They built roads, they built railways, they helped improve transportation. And yet they were given this treatment. I'm sorry, this is very short, we don't have much time. But what I'm saying is it fair for them to be treated like this when they did all this to Australia? I want us all to think about that. And they call us all these names, yet we Muslims we did the most contributions to people, to Australians essentially. I think that's all. I don't want to talk too long and pass to the next person, inshallah.